All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. I do see that chat is working. 200 people almost waiting already. As YouTube algorithmically demotes me, other sites promote me. So I'm very, very happy about that. Happy Halloween to everyone, or Samhain, Samhain, or whatever the fuck you term it. It literally doesn't make any difference. I couldn't, by the way, as a quick aside here, find like a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin literally anywhere because they're not really a thing here. I mean, it's not part of the Anglosphere, so Halloween's not a big thing in the Netherlands. So I'm making pumpkin soup. It is in the oven right now out of necessity because it has to be cooked off before, I compile the other ingredients. If people could please remind me in about, I'd say 20 to 25 minutes, hey, Sticks, your pumpkin's probably burning. Because unless I smell it, I don't have a timer on the oven at the moment because the oven's a little bit glitched out as far as its controls go. I would appreciate that. So I'll be making a nice creamy pumpkin soup. Lots of heavy cream and all the other goodies and shit that goes into pumpkin soup. I never made it before, actually. So that's my jack-o'-lantern for Halloween is I'm going to drink a bowl of soup. Alan Smithy, no more super chats. That's about all. Peace out. Billy, happy Reformation Day from Chad Martin Luther. Why does it look like my camera's a little bit down, for the love of fucking God? Is that better? That looks a little bit better. Got some problems there. Yeah, I could set my phone for a timer, but I never use my phone, so I literally do not know how because I fucking hate smartphones. Anyway, we'll get right into the news. We've got to talk about Desantis, his speculative height, his shoe apparel, the huge dust up currently happening in DeSantis land, the crying and whining really from his fans because it's fucking goddamn pathetic. We'll be talking about that because hilarious. And as a counterpart to that, of course, the latest Iowa polling, which shows that DeSantis has a real goddamn fucking problem, actually, with his basic strategy. If your strategy is, well, I'm going to win Iowa, and then you revise it to, well, I need a strong second place showing in Iowa. I don't necessarily need to win it. And now you're tied with Nikki Haley, of all people. You might have a little bit of a problem with your presidential campaign. I don't even know that he's necessarily going to make it to Iowa at this point. Probably will, but there's a chance that he drops before then. Mike Pence Mo. So I'll be talking about DeSantis. There's a twofer. Also a twofer about Nikki Haley, actually, because she's being astroturfed. And she's the main opponent for the also ran second place finishing slot. Joe Biden's emails, we have to talk about them. I noticed that the legacy media is not paying that much attention, but it's still a big story. Of course, we'll give war updates. We'll talk about that. We've got the ACLU, and this is something that yesterday, actually, Ryan McDonald had sent a super chat and tipped me off to. ACLU files brief arguing Trump gag order violates the First Amendment. We'll be talking about that. I mean, the ACLU is actually right for a change. It's most of the time they're not anymore. If you happen to be concealed carrying while you're abused by the government in some way, they will not defend you, by the way, by design. They explicitly have talked about this. And also, Nikki Haley being astroturf. That's our final story for the day. We'll also talk about some spooky stuff, of course. If anyone wants spooky movie recommendations, I recommend Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is an excellent movie from the 2000s. It's my favorite of all time. It's not just spooky, though. It's literally every genre you can think of sort of clumped together. And mostly movies can't do that. Conjugate genres are generally a bad thing, like romantic comedy. There are there's literally one romantic comedy I can think of that's actually funny, which is Shallow Hal. I will definitely sim for Jack Black. His acting skills really carried him. Generally, unless it's deliberately cheesy, like it's a comedy, but it's also martial arts or something, that might work. But generally speaking, if you're trying to make a serious movie, you can't really combine genres for the most part. Some are more combinable than others. Brotherhood of the Wolf is the best movie that I've ever seen. I would also recommend Louis Malle's Black Moon. That's Louis. He's French, of course. I think he's dead now. He made it back in the mid-'70s on his own chateau, actually. He recorded it partially in his own home. Mal with 2 L's. If you can get Black Moon by Louis Malle, that is a fucking weird movie. It's basically one long symbolic take on the coming of age. So puberty, sex, things related to that. It's highly symbolic. Every single thing in the movie basically is about that. And I mean, I probably shouldn't have told you that because I interpreted it that way before I actually read the synopsis many years later. So maybe some people would have thought it was sort of an Alice in Wonderland dark fantasy or something. But it's a great movie. Also, Ninth Gate, of course. Polanski, regrettably a pedophile, happens to have made that movie. But the movie was good anyway. It had Johnny Depp in it. Yeah, people are giving me a live timer to when the pumpkins supposedly will be done at their current temperature. I don't know if that'll be the case. Of course, no 2 ovens are identical. TSUA, hey Sticks, have you seen the old Christopher Lee clip where he says reading occult materials makes you go crazy? Clank. That's not exactly what he said. He was referring to Satanists. I happen to have a small amount of inside knowledge about the ones that he was talking about, by the way, because I've spoken with them. Yes, involving yourself with the political activistic side of Satanism in the 80s was a treacherous thing to do. Probably not a good idea for the average person, especially if you're publicly branded, you're in show business or something like that. He wasn't really talking about occultism, though. He did make an offhand comment about being queried that supposedly he had a massive collection of occult materials, and he said that that's not actually true, and that he had met with people who were into dark magic and so forth. Let's see. Grant M. Crusader Gal did a video covering a Britain college offering an occult degree. Professor Hexenhammer 666. I don't think my occultism is woke enough for the average college, unfortunately. Although the, the Grey School of Wizardry or Grey Academy of Wizardry or something had actually DM'd me at one point, asking me if I wanted to make material. Sigilstone 17. Good morning, Clankers. I ended up not streaming this weekend because my internet went to shit. Didn't get what I wanted downloaded and got drunk at a Halloween party. I'll be test streaming tomorrow night. Okay, so Sigilstone will be test streaming tomorrow, but right now he is hungover. Nick Ray 47. DeSantis said on the PBD broadcast he would have won without Trump in 2028. Just shows he's turned from one of the smartest politicians ever to truly one of the stupidest politicians of all time. And that's going some. We'll be talking about his height and so forth in a minute. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Happy Halloween, my fellow riggers. Yes, Wasted Bonehead, our resident zombie is here. And this is your day, your holy day. Congratulations. Basically, sort of like a zombie's birthday party or something like that. You get the candied brains. Felon leftist, how should a felon move forward in life post-conviction? Having trouble finding better work due to a drug charge from when I was a teenager. In some states, I believe you can get charges vacated and so forth. You should probably contact a good lawyer and ask what your options are. I find it funny, people with non-violent felony charges also can't buy a gun in the United States, which I think is fucking horseshit. I think you can own a flamethrower or a black powder weapon, though. So, you know, disclaimer, this isn't advice to you, but there are still ways to defend yourself. And you can buy a sword over the internet, so at least at short range, nothing will be a problem. Anyway, we've got to talk about Ron DeSantis first, because it's fucking funny to me. I've sparred with DeSantis fans recently quite a bit, Max Nordau and some of the others, Cardio, and I've come to the conclusion that they're delusional, actually, at this point, because what happened... Ron DeSantis made the stupid decision of going on an independent sort of a podcast show with Patrick Bet-David, actually. There's a link in the description to a Posobiec's tweet here. It's got the clip from it. And he was queried about his height, about the shoes that he wears. Apparently, he played as though he was unaware of the fact that this was a meme. I don't necessarily believe in that. He claims he's 5'11". He's not 5'11". That's a problem. It's not a problem because of his height. Okay, I know that height plays a role in politics and manliness and all this fucking horseshit. Like, I'm 6'2", and I'm well aware of the fact that that gives me a bit of an advantage insofar as looking good to the other sex and so forth in life. I'm well aware of that fact, but it's not the hugest deal in the world. You also have Napoleon Bonaparte and people like that. There are people who are not, considerably tall, or perfect. Some of you dudes out there, you're like 5'8" or something like that. That's perfectly fine. But when you lie about your height, and when you deflect and you use like the whole, like the political nobility sort of thing to sort of obfuscate the situation, it becomes a problem. This individual offered DeSantis a pair of shoes. The idea is, of course, put them on. We're going to see exactly how tall you are. They're new shoes. I chose them. They clearly don't have lifts in them, as is alleged that DeSantis wears to lift his feet up, an inch or two or something like that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with being on the shorter side. And if DeSantis is even the 5'9" that he probably is, he's not a manlet. He's not a dwarf. There's nothing wrong with him. There's no sort of character flaw or something like that. It's perfectly fine. But when you say, well, I can't accept gifts because I'm the governor of Florida, when you're not being offered a gift, you're being offered an opportunity to put the fucking shoes on, to take the ones you're wearing off, to put the new ones on, and then potentially to stand there and be measured, or at least stand next to a person whose height you can vouch for. It looks a little bit suspicious now, doesn't it? The DeSantis fans have gone utterly apeshit over this particular issue. They're claiming that Trump fans have a foot fetish. They're claiming that Donald Trump wears lifts in his shoes and that he's not actually his reported height according to legal authorities, et cetera, that they're coping big time. And I love to see it, but because at this point, Ron DeSantis' political career is effectively fucking over. Here's the problem. Look at the Iowa polling right now. What do you see from the latest poll? Donald Trump poll over poll gained 4 points. That is the Des Moines Register poll. He had been riding at 23. Now he's at 27. That's problem number one. He is actually, the DeSantis fans predictably, and the other day I made a post about this, tried to compare it to the Iowa State poll that showed him at 38. And I said, no, use the poll with similar methodology, which would be the fairly recent poll from the Des Moines Register, their last poll. He actually rose 4 points. And the other problem is that he's now tied with Nikki Haley. He's roughly tied with Nikki Haley in the state of Iowa. His self-professed goal in the state of Iowa was to come in a very strong second. And that's after having revised downwards the expectations of his fans, having originally said his goal was to win the state of Iowa. He's not going to win the state of Iowa. I know there's a lot of bravado out there from DeSantis fans saying, what I see on the ground is not the reality. The polls are wrong. Hey, I see a lot of DeSantis signs saying, okay, so you're in DeSantis country within Iowa, and you see a lot of DeSantis signs. I also have my pulse on these things because I have people all around the country giving me news tips. The people that I've talked to from Iowa and from virtually everywhere else say that it's overwhelming support for Donald Trump within the GOP primary. That's just the way that it is. Ron DeSantis will not win. At this point, he's scrapping it out with fucking warmongering idiot Nikki Haley for second place. So we're going to see what happens. The fact is that Ron DeSantis is not 5'11". I don't care about his height because I don't judge people based on anything other than ideology when they want your taxpayer money to represent ideology. I don't care about that. It's just cringe to lie and deflect. It was cringe for him to say, well, I can't even put on the pair of shoes because it's effectively I'm breaking the law or something. You can wear the goddamn shoes. You just can't take them home with you. Even then, you could probably take them home with you. I don't think that taking a pair of shoes from a podcaster violates Florida law. Maybe you've got some weird laws down there. I mean, you've got HB 269, of course, but I don't think so. That's not the problem. The problem, the height is not the problem. The problem is the deflection. The problem is not being willing to actually address the issue and pretending that you're ignorant of it. Okay, The Ron DeSantis height meme thing has been in the legacy media. The left-wingers crucify you on this issue as well. Well, Ron DeSantis, how tall is he really? And estimates range from 5'7" to 5'11". Somewhere in that neighborhood, I think it's probably in the middle somewhere. It's okay if you have lifts. I don't give a shit if you come out in 6-inch heels. I really don't care. But be honest with people and don't deflect. That's all I'm asking. And I find it funny because some of the Ron DeSantis fans are pretending that this is some win for him. The appearance went off without a hitch. No, the appearance went off without a hitch unless you include the entire minute in which he was completely humiliated. Nobody's even talking about the rest of the goddamn interview. Nobody cares what he said. They only care about his goddamn shoes because his campaign stupidly decided to make it an issue. He went on an independent podcast. He got trolled effectively. He got rope-a-doped, and he took the bait. Son of my fan 875. Sticks, can you wish this devil child a Halloween birthday? Happy birthday. Been watching 2015 and also wanted to thank you on my political journey. Happy auspicious birthday to you, my lad. Or ladette. I mean, don't want to assume anyone's pronouns. Super Slob. DeSantards are worse than the 2016 Cruz crew. I don't think they're quite as cringe as DeSantis latent as Cruz's latter-day fans. I think they're not as bad as Nikki Haley fans. They're all calling for nuclear war right now. So he does have some advantages. Again, I don't have a huge stick up my ass about Ron DeSantis, but this was not the way to fucking respond. You try to tell his fans that, and they'll say, oh my God, you want to suck Trump's dick. Donald Trump wears lifts in his shoes too. It's a big world, and stupid shit like that's not the way to respond. You certainly at some point you've got to be capable of comprehending why people were turned off the DeSantis campaign. And if you're not capable of comprehending that, he doesn't have a campaign. His own worst enemies are his fucking fans. The bonus holes. We failed at our goal of reaching 669 followers on X by Halloween, and as such will not be releasing a track from our EP early. But we are done mixing and now mastering and are aiming to release by 2023's end. Followers on X at the bonus holes. You can follow the bonus holes. Sinister Minister Rishi Poison Sunak sacks aid for suggesting ceasefire in Gaza. Interesting. Then we'll talk about that tomorrow. The Agal faces. Scary Halloween fact. Christmas starts tomorrow. Yes, that's a thing I have a problem with. Thanksgiving is in between the two. I think that basically everything from the 1st of September through Halloween is Halloween. After that, there's a period of time where there's like a pause. Then you have Thanksgiving. Wait until December for fucking Christmas shit. Felix Fanboy Rico, spam the heart button in chat or you a hoe. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. The Tex Vet, while there's nothing wrong with with being short, perception and psychology have major roles in modern politics. Absolutely, you're correct. There's a reason they pay insane money to choose tie colors. He would need a massive differentiator. Yes, the taller candidate does historically have an advantage. Now, if you look at U.S. presidents, they are typically taller than the general population by a significant amount. George Washington was 6'1". Abe Lincoln was 6'4". Donald Trump is 6'2" or 6'3". It sort of depends on who you ask. The shorter candidate usually has a disadvantage, historically speaking. Height in men is considered attractive. It's considered a symbol of power. I didn't make the rules, and as someone who's 6'2", I don't have a problem with those rules, but that just is the way that it is. Taller candidates, over 6 feet at least, typically are going to have a bit of an advantage. Ron DeSantis is not a tall man. He's also not a manlet. He's not a midget or anything like that. He's not fucking 4 feet tall and has fucking deformity issues or anything like that. It's not about the height, though. The strategy and political history thing aside, it's not even about that. It's just about lying about it. Just be honest with people. People know that you're not 5'11". We're well aware of this fact. The fact is that you do put lifts in your shoes. When you therefore decline to put on a pair of shoes without lifts in them, showing that you're actually an inch or two shorter than you claim to be, that's the problem. There's no shame in being fucking 5'9". Again, that's roughly average height. There's no problem with that. He's just trying to boost himself. Ozzy's Robots. Good morning, sticks and clankers. Between 11:30 and 12, I will take my unlifted F10 self, do a museum live stream Halloween tour of monster toys, including the new salt vampire mold from the original Star Trek. Sounds cool. By the way, I am aware, thank you, that I do have to check my pumpkin in a couple minutes. Ashley, meanwhile, McCain's height is 6 feet under, and everyone's happy about that. Big boy, Sticks wants to see Ron D strutting around in heels. Well, I mean, he does that at every appearance. Josh Palillo, I've never seen anyone else lose so much political capital before. As a Floridian, it's baffling and embarrassing. Yeah, the thing is, the dude had it made. Ron DeSantis had his coin minted for him. He had a goddamn political future, the likes of which most politicians would probably cut a hand off for, and he decided to throw it away. G-Phaser, Colorado and Michigan trying to get Trump off the ballot. Judge in Colorado connected to anti-Trump PACs, still in the realm of possibility of happening. Very unlikely, in my opinion. Felon Leftist, are you going to watch Ben Shapiro versus Destiny? No, I don't want to watch two mental deficients slap fight each other. Benjamin Flensborg, Bribin may actually be a good bulwark against war. G. Phaser, thoughts on rallying people to vote RDK in any potential state Trump is removed from the ballot? I don't think he'll be removed from the ballot in any state. I think that they'd be nuts to try. Helios ending. You can learn to ride a bicycle. I did it in 5 minutes at the age of 37. All you need at first is some momentum to keep your balance. Bikes are fun. Yeah, but have you seen the behavior of bikers in the Netherlands? I think I'm probably safer walking. Calanon, been watching you for years. Thanks for being opinionated and actually intelligent, unlike MSM talking heads. As low-hanging fruit, I mean, literally anyone in chat right now is smarter than most of them. But thank you. I appreciate it. Richard III, soup's ready in 4 minutes. No, this is just the pumpkin. It has to be cooked first. Elliot Gill, hey Sticks, check your soup if you haven't already. It's funny, I'm going to make money by having to interrupt the live stream to check fucking pumpkins. That's a Halloween live stream for you. Dat Pie over there. Okay, what if we put in Bonehead and Sigilstone Roanoke Tavern Brawl wrestling match with special guest referee Ozzy's Robots sponsored by Anton's? Probably be the most watched live stream of history on multiple sites. By the way, just a second, I will get back to my live stream. I probably should check the pumpkins because I really don't want it to burn because, you know, eating is good. Just a second, everyone. I'm just going to leave this on. Fuck it. It's pumpkin time. Alrighty. I wish I could show you the pumpkins. You're not allowed to see them, though. They're secret pumpkin. Let's see. Don't know. No, the pumpkin's not ready yet. I mean, you could eat it. It's edible, but, you know. Yeah, you want it to be a little bit more squishy if you're going to juice it into the soup. I've checked my pumpkins. Don't worry. I'll probably, actually, considering the doneness, probably wait till the end of the live stream. Uranium Rabbit. Hi, Sticks. Do you believe in the multiverse? And if so, is there a diverse female Sticks making videos about the occult and patriarchy? Happy Halloween. It's possible. Yeah, the multiverse model makes sense more than the single universe model. Sinister Minister. Lyndon's Johnson was 6'4". Yeah, apparently LBJ had an enormous cock, and he would display it to other people in a show of dominance. He had some problems. Benjamin Flensborg. He is so stupid, he may staple it off. He cannot handle a war. Bribin, of course. Tom Brazel, speaking of Destiny, I looked up your channel on YouTube yesterday, and the first result was a 5-year-old Destiny video about how he doesn't like you, LMAO. Yes, YouTube is stupid with regards to its algorithms, and so oftentimes that'll be the case. This is called algorithmic hijacking. It's done by unscrupulous sorts to try to piggyback other people's actual success. NBA DeCali, Sticks on Timcast would be epic. It shall happen. I would have done it the last time that I was back, last month, but I didn't have the ability to do so. Swamp Donkey, did you see the leaked Israeli report with their stated goal of mass deporting all Palestinians to Egypt, various other places, and Canada? I'm sure they'll be more than welcome in Canada. You know, otherwise it's just full of Canadians and occasionally Chinese people. Nick Ray 47, I meant 2018. I accidentally typed 2028. Oh, okay. Wasted Bonehead. Gonna TP an egg Sigil's house, then spray paint Undead Gang on the side. Petty vandalism for the win. Sigil Stone. Ron to short-ass fans need to learn to walk tall and step over the issue. They need to grow up. And I got a hold of Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Ernie Hudson. We sliding on Bonehead's place tonight. King of Biltong, good morning from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping on your Biltong using code STICKS on www.landofbiltong.com and www.antonsusa.com. Great stuff for keto and carnivore diets. Have a great day. Hashtag Clank Nation. Also just good in general. Fucking, you should buy some of Anton's stuff. I will endorse it. This is an official endorsement as opposed to a disclaimer unofficial endorsement. It's delicious. Wasted Bonehead. Sigil can't even fight his own fights. Anyway, I'll get Rick Moranis to make them stand down. This is between you and me, bud. The greatest new meme on the channel. Undead dude fighting with Sigil Stone. Sigil, first, Bonehead, how dare you bring up my dead dog buddy? Thank God I had him cremated. Now I'm bringing Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg. You asked for shenanigans. You're going to get shenanigans. Oh, Christ. Happy Halloween. We've got zombie fighting going on. Jason Binder. Hi, Sticks. What are your thoughts on Biden using the War Powers Act to prevent the 2024 election from even taking place? That won't happen. You don't have to worry about that one. Although he has decided to take up more umbrage with AI systems using the... I can't remember the name of the act from the 1950s. There, it was it's only been invoked a handful of times. Actually, is it the War Production Act or something like that? He's invoked it about 9 times so far. Sparky, don't think about balance when learning to ride a bike. Gyroscopic forces keep you from falling over. Think of it as balance is likely why you had trouble. Doesn't help you as much when you have to brake. Pumpkin Fire Crafts. Happy Halloween. Yes, indeed. There is a link in the description to Pumpkin Fire Crafts. You can get some customized spoons and other good Sticks, Hex, and goodies. So we've got Pumpkin Fire Crafts. We've got Anton's. Also, link in the description cross-platform to my books blog. If you want some spooky reading, you can get some stuff there. Cicero, 1776. Guess who's in the background for my new YouTube icon? Love your work and would love to see you, Razor, and Tim share a room, range, etc. Yeah, going shooting with them would be fun. Although Razor Fist would insist on bringing his fucking Mauser. He's obsessed with those things. Sparky, Israel's taken such a PR hit, they'll be lucky if in 75 years an Israeli Defense Force veteran gets a standing ovation from the Canadian Parliament. Yeah, they've got some optic problems at the moment. The Grizzly. How much longer do you think people are going to continue to put up with the wokeness in every aspect in society? Do you think there will be a tipping point where enough is enough for the average person? I think we've already passed that point, actually. We're talking about average person. I think the average person's already over the wokeness. Ozzy's Robots. After destroying the neurosurgeon, I need a new live stream rival. Yeah, somebody donate some money and fight with Ozzy. Because, you know, it's lucrative for me. Semi-joke. I mean, I do have a diaper fund to fill, but I do all right. Everything's fine. Books are selling well, but I mean, it's right before Halloween, so typically when you're doing mainly occult editing, you get that. Next news story. This is an important one you probably didn't actually know about. 82,000 pages of emails where Joe Biden used a pseudonym are uncovered. Court filing reveals then VP's staggering use of 3 fake names to communicate in private. Robert L. Peters, he's Peter, Robin Ware, and JRB Ware were pseudonyms used by Joe on emails when he was vice president. By the way, he was not supposed to be doing that. The staggering figure was disclosed by the National Archives in a court filing Monday. Republicans are also seeking records revealing Joe Biden's use of pseudonyms to discuss his activities related to Ukraine with his son Hunter. They will probably be unsuccessful, by the way, in that process. Apparently, Joe Biden, who is literally referred to. Yes, people are correct. Pedo Pete was a reference by Hunter Biden. The fact that he's using that same moniker in part in his pseudonyms has struck people as slightly odd. We're not going to make accusations here, but we are going to say that it's a little bit of a coincidence. He had a proclivity towards using, including possibly for emails related to work. So, I mean, they're supposed to be archived and filed and everything like that, using pseudonyms while he was VP for an extended period of time. The staggering figure was disclosed Monday by the National Archives as part of a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit brought by the conservative nonprofit organization Southeastern Legal Foundation. So you can look them up as well if you want to find out who uncovered this goddamn trove. This would, by the way, dwarf the Hillary Clinton email trove. The difference is, of course, we don't know what component of them would have anything to do with classified info, a quid pro quo, a Hatch Act sort of thing. They would have to be gone through. We don't know exactly the content of all the emails. What's clear, though, is if you send that many emails and you're using those pseudonyms while you're VP and so forth, the presumption is that there was at least some dirty dealing involved. This would be a problem for Joe Biden. Actually, this could be the harbinger of him getting fucked out of the race. That may be their plan. Force him aside. He's an old man. He takes one for the team. He gets to go retire to his Delaware mansion, and then they run Gavin Newsom or something like that. I'm not predicting that, just to be clear. But there's a possibility that that's exactly what's afoot, because otherwise the National Archives probably would have blocked the FOIA, and they would have the ability to do so. Biden is the current sitting president. The people that are running the Senate, they're on his side, so they would just block the FOIA. The fact that they let it even fucking go through before the election is a little bit mysterious, actually. Let's see. Toxic Mix. While I'm still leaning Trump, his recent comments on the Israeli conflict, including the calling out of Iran, are deeply concerning. Before I felt secure he'd pull us from brinksmanship. Now I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I have a problem with some of his foreign policy comments as well, in all admission. That being said, when I'm comparing him to Vivek, I would put their heads on pikes Ramaswamy, Nikki, nuke them all, Haley, or Biden, hey, I'm actually active in this conflict at the moment, so you already know where my opinion is. Yeah, I would still prefer Trump. But again, he's not perfect, absolutely. It's just like with the bombing of the Syrian airfield back when he was the president. I mean, in his first of 3 terms. I oppose that very vociferously for a reason. But I don't think that Trump's going to go to war with Iran, considering the fact that also he allegedly already turned down Milley when he suggested such a thing. I think that I would go with Team Trump on that. Big Hook PGH on Rumble. Happy Halloween. Styx is awesome. I wish you had a flag. I proudly fly Salty Army from my Mad Max-inspired 16-ton wrecker. The salt must flow. Check out my Rumble. So Big Hook PGH. Yes, I did want to actually offer flags at one point. I should probably work on that again. I actually do have my own Ouroboros flag, but I left that one in Rutland, shipped this one, and because I have like 5 of them now, because there's also the Roman flag, there's the Minuteman flag, and of course a U.S. flag. I think there might be another in there somewhere. Not 100% sure, though. Guess I'm starting a collection. Sigil Stone. Bonehead forgot I already shipped bricks and threw them at his tomb. Ozzy's Robots. Dems running a white male will be problematic. Yeah, I mean, I would think they'd lose at least 20-30% of their own constituency. Salty Keldian. The only conflict Biden needs to worry about is keeping his pants from looking like pinstripes above and below. That and managing to swallow down his bran muffin and his prune smoothie so that Jill can put him in for his nappy. The Nerdwire. Why can't witches have babies? Because their husbands have Halloweeners. Happy Halloween, everyone. Womp, womp, womp. Anyway. We've got war updates, too. There was a little bit of a riot at a Russian airport the other day in Dagestan. And there were people that were, flying Palestinian flags and harassing Jewish individuals in the region. I thought this was mainly interesting because Dan Crenshaw, you know, Eye Patch McCain, he came out and said that he had no clue where Dagestan was. And I'm thinking to myself, I like geography, admittedly. I'm very good at it. I'm not the most keyed in person with every socio-political conflict that goes on in the world, every diplomatic crisis, etc., let alone in that area of the world. Of course, we're talking about the southernmost end of Russia, near the borders with Armenia and Azerbaijan and so forth. But you didn't know about the enclave that's right next to fucking Chechnya? And you're the one, you're supposedly a foreign policy expert. You want to be, basically, you're like Nikki Haley with a dick at this point. And you didn't know where Dagestan was? The second most the second most notable enclave within Russia after Chechnya itself, literally right next door. You didn't know where it was, and I'm supposed to take you fucking seriously on foreign policy? Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Obviously, I don't think that civilians should be harassed based on their religious or ethnic background, and don't know if Putin has, by the way, addressed this yet. This was the other day. Still significant. As far as the war itself goes, Gaza City is now under siege by the Israelis. Hamas continues to fire its rockets. You've had several hostages confirmed killed, although you have also had a couple of others that have been rescued by the IDF. It's a slow grind. And when Netanyahu said that it's going to be a long war, he wasn't joking. And by long war in that part of the world, we're probably talking about months. We're going to see at least tens of thousands of people killed in the Gaza Strip. We're probably going to see twice as many Israelis killed by Hamas rockets and mortars as we've already seen. Which is unfortunate. And think about it, that's probably the best case scenario. Best case scenario is it grinds on. Hamas gets mostly debilitated, although they don't get destroyed. The IDF mainly leaves, creates their buffer zone, and then it all goes back to square one. I hate to tell you this, but that's probably the best case outcome with regards to what's happening. You could also see Israel completely decimate the region. They could actually force refugees out into Egypt. It's not sure by what methodology. They'd probably have to bribe the Egyptians. Maybe they'll use the money that's been being sent to Israel right now by Congress. They'll use that to bribe the Egyptian authorities or something. By the way, one other war update. The Israeli aid bill that's being considered right now in Congress actually has a silver lining for once. Fucking Congress managed to do something that made sense. It counterbalances that with cuts to the IRS. I think that that's a fair trade-off, and I don't even believe in foreign aid. Yeah, I mean, you get the IRS off more people's backs. Yeah, okay. I mean, we might start World War III, but people won't be audited quite so much. Well, you know, even Stevens, maybe, I suppose, or something like that. Yeah, people died, but, you know, Americans prospered. I mean, technically, that's an America First bait and switch for the Dems to have to ponder. That's the weird part of it. Let's see. Sparky, U.S. ordered Hamas to attack, but Israel's guard was down, so it went farther than the U.S. imagined. I disagree with you, by the way. Well, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So the U.S. blames Iran as an excuse to start a war. Well, I'm hoping that there's no war with Iran. Yeah, that would be pretty bad. RS3 to Cool Guy. Why, out of all things happening in the world right now, did you decide to talk about DeSantis's feet? Because hilarious. Because DeSantis fans are having a nervous breakdown at the moment. And I find that to be very funny after having some of them insulting me. Well, I mean, your candidate is going to lose. I don't know what you're going to do when that happens. Most of you will probably back Trump anyway. You know, maybe you'll do it reluctantly, but I think most of them will come around. It's just like, imagine in an alternate universe where DeSantis were 20 points ahead and Trump drops out or something. A lot of those people would end up backing DeSantis. I might not because I'm not a Republican, so there's no partisan loyalty, but a lot of people would. Wow, look, no matter what we do, the world will always hate us, so we might as well do what is necessary to protect our people. I feel sorry for the citizens of Gaza and do not want to see them suffer, but our people come first. That's the way the Israeli government should function, by the way. You're not fundamentally wrong. They should look out for Israelis first, just like the Palestinian government, for what it exists in the first place, should look out for Palestinians. My problem, and what I've discussed mainly over the last few days, is optics. Israel is now making this a massively lopsided fight. So the fact that you can claim justification because you were attacked first in a fairly major attack and they took hostages and shit doesn't mean that the international community isn't now mainly seeing dead Palestinians. That's mainly what they're seeing, that and bombing footage. Eventually, the world will turn against Israel if it continues for too long. Brittleby, thoughts on attempts to keep Trump off the ballot? I already addressed them. Long story short, I don't think they'll work. It's possible, maybe in Colorado, but defying the meta. Starfield turned out good. The Starship and settlement building is phenomenal. It's basically Fallout in space with more advanced settlement building. Yeah, but I can then just play Fallout 4 and use a bunch of mods. So, you know, there's that. Wow, IRS cuts. Woo, fuck those guys. Yeah, I think I would rather give the money to Israel than to the IRS. Honestly, I'm being honest here as a libertarian. I'd probably rather fucking fund a foreign state than to give it to the goddamn feds. Sly, Crenshaw needs to be told that Hezbollah, the Great, is from Dagestan. Yeah, exactly. Let's trick him since he's apparently ignorant. Ozzy's Robots, did you see where the New York judge refused Fox's lawyers the ability to obtain testimony from Soros and his son despite their clear ties to Smartmatic? No, I didn't see that. I'll have to look it up. By the way, please send no more super chats because there's still a bunch to go through here. I didn't even get to half my fucking news. And also, I've got to check my pumpkins again at some point. Please don't send me any more Halloween money. I appreciate it, but I don't have all of the time in the day. I got to make soup. Joe Martirano, I find it funny the same people calling Trump Hitler and people Nazis are now condemning the Jews. It is kind of funny. The bonus holes. Hey, I was trying to buy a stick shirt from Anton's along with Biltong, but when I click the merch page, nothing is listed. The shirt sold out. It's possible. You'd maybe Anton, if you're still watching, please DM me and I'll try to figure that out. Or it could be a dead link or something. Sparky, make Ukraine Russia again. Don't even leave a patch called Ukraine, lest it remain a playground and money laundry for NATO and carpetbaggers and become a BlackRock property. The alternative is that they just do the money laundering elsewhere. Of course, I wouldn't want to be under Russian domination or under Zelensky's regime. So if I was there, I don't know exactly what I would do. I'd probably go out in the wilderness. I'd go in the woods and say, fuck this shit. Wow, take my goddamn shekels. John Andrew, instead of sending troops, let's send IRS agents. Yeah, let them get chopped to bits. Wasted bonehead. Of course Sigil would admit to shitting bricks. He sold his soul to the devil just to fuck with me. No big deal. I'll just shotgun a few beers and take him behind the woodshed like corn pop. Careful, we can't make that kind of threats on a YouTube stream necessarily. I know you're over on Rumble, but you never know. Trip Boom Sticks. The other day I talked to Anton about talking with you, making a flag, a couple different ones. I still have to send him one of the designs. Yeah, I would just like the regular black Ouroboros, like literally, my moniker on every website. With the wings, of course, for a flag. So it's more horizontal. Sean487. By the way, Desantis lied and said Trump never supported him in 2020 when there was video of Trump voting for him. Then he blamed the midterms on Trump, not Mitch, not funding. Yeah, DeSantis has gone off the deep end, but he's still tolerable compared to some of his fans. M. Tyler 11. Sticks, I was disappointed you didn't call out in the AI vid that the Biden's actions and the DPA itself are fascist. Compelled government control of business is Mussolini's bag, man. Yeah, I didn't point that out in those explicit terms, but yeah, when we're looking at the Production Act, absolutely. 1950s, by the way. We haven't been capitalist since then. Crap Weasel, I agree with most of your takes, but I believe you're naive on Trump 24. The Uniparty will start World War III and kill his entire lineage before he's elected again. They may try. I don't deny that. They are crazy enough to try. Just a matter of whether they're successful. Really quickly, before I go offline here, because again, I will have to check the pumpkins someday. ACLU files brief arguing Trump gag order violates the First Amendment. Yes, indeed. The gag put on him by Chutkin is being combated. One of the filers is the American Civil Liberties Union, which just goes to show you the level of depravity by the Chutkin court when the ACLU, which at this point is a dedicated left-wing organization, they're completely woke. They side entirely with leftoidism. Years ago, they decided they wouldn't even defend gun owners in court. They're still siding with Donald Trump, who is also generally, at least, relatively pro-gun. He's got kind of a Reaganist opinion about them. A little bit of a FUD, honestly. If there was one thing I could change about Donald Trump that would bring him more in line ideologically with reality, it'd probably be on firearms, actually, which is irony in this case, because I really like guns and want to buy several more of them when I'm back in the U.S. Anyway, and the ACLU filed 400 legal actions against former President Trump's administration. Today, the organization calls on the court to narrow its order to prevent infringing on the First Amendment right to free speech. I went through this briefly yesterday, so I won't revisit every one of these components. The basic concept is that he hasn't incited anything. He hasn't said anything criminal like a credible threat or something like that, so there shouldn't be a gag order at all, because there's no indicator that he's going to engage in such behavior. All he's done is call the judge racist. That was a Letitia James case. Sorry, that's a separate case. All he's done is call the judge basically bigoted, biased, call out the case, hammer the prosecution and say that they're compromised and stuff like that. If you're accused of a crime and you can't even publicly criticize the people attempting to put you in fucking prison, I think that violates more than the First Amendment. I'm pretty sure at that point it rises to the level of threatening the right to a fair public trial, actually. I praise the ACLU, despite the fact that normally there's nothing praiseworthy there. They must have took balls to actually sign a goddamn amicus brief in favor of Donald Trump, of all people, because they clearly don't like him. Sparky, ironically, it was the Russian-Ukrainian Zionists moving to the Ottoman Empire in 1907 to what would become Palestine, leading to modern troubles. UK amplified them as a routine colonial strategy. It's the Balfour Declaration, actually. Yeah, the Ottomans were definitely involved with the proceedings that led up to the construction of the modern state of Israel. Yeah, the judge, imagine that you're not even allowed to criticize the prosecution. Okay, maybe you can make a case for, well, the decorum of this court won't stand for the intolerable remarks of the defendants, if they're really over the top or something, like could be construed as incitement or something. But Trump hasn't said anything of that sort. I've seen all of his statements with regards to Letitia James and Chutkan and all of these others, Eileen Cannon. And there's nothing that comes close to incitement or anything like that. It's just challenging the legitimacy of the case. Well, if the feds decide to charge me with a crime and I come out with a YouTube video saying the case is bullshit, that doesn't mean that I'm doing anything wrong. It means I'm challenging the credibility of the case itself. If I call the prosecutor a cunt, well, that might not win me any favors, but the prosecutor's trying to put me in jail or something like that. Why the fuck should I not be able to criticize them? It's fucking horseshit. Just a sec. Again, please no more super chats, because I do smell some pumpkin roasting in there and I don't want to let it burn. Just last and really quickly here, people are astroturfing Nikki Haley, and this is entirely at Ron DeSantis' detriment, actually, at this point. Donald Trump will be the GOP's nominee unless he dies or is completely invalidated in a brokered convention sort of situation, or he's incapacitated. He has a massive stroke and he's acting like John Fetterman. That'd be a problem. Nikki Haley doesn't have a chance. What she does have a chance to do is come in second place now. She's pulled ahead in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina now. She's actually in second place now, arguably in 3 states as of the latest Iowa polling. She's being totally astroturfed because her main opponent, which is DeSantis, not Trump, they're competing for that second place slot, declined. That's basically the long and short of it. Ron DeSantis had his day in the sun. That was months ago. He's gone down. But Haley hasn't really stolen from Ron DeSantis. If anything, it looks like Trump reabsorbed a bunch of reluctant MAGA support. Nikki Haley's mainly stolen from Vivek Ramaswamy. You'll remember him as the relatively close third place finisher that would have been if the election were held about a month ago. He's steeply declined. Nikki Haley has stolen, in my opinion, much of his support. Again, he's trying to get it back by saying weird shit like, I think that they should take Hamas as leaders and put their heads on pike on display and stuff like that to try to, do the big boy thing with Nikki Haley, who's a noted warmonger. And I find that absolutely goddamn hilarious. But it will be Donald Trump in the end who is the nominee. Again, barring certain unlikely eventualities. It's possible they take a shot at him. Hopefully they miss if they try. Barring that, though, he'll be the nominee. Nikki Haley, though, has crushed Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy, mainly. And as of this last polling, it don't look good for anyone else. Nikki Haley might be the last person standing among the also-rans. Imagine Nikki goddamn Haley. That's a really, really funny one. Mike Depew, would you be interested in changing to reading Super Chats at the end of the stream so they don't interrupt your trains of thought? No, I like my current format, actually. I'd rather not do that. Especially when, I mean, it just feels wrong. Because then, I mean, think about it on replay. And a lot of people replay the video. They're not even going to see the Super Chats then. They're not going to wait until the end when I say, okay, now it's time for Super Chats. They're going to shut the video off. People are getting less bang for their buck. I believe in giving people more when they're giving me money. Sparky, Chris Ray, and Sally Yates are part of the Old Boy Network, which controls politics and justice in Georgia. This includes all high-end Atlanta law firms who are predisposed to misadvise Trump clients. Yeah, Ozzy's robots. No deep staters for VP. Incentivizes assassination. Yeah, that's the other thing is Donald Trump has to be really careful who he chooses as a running mate, by the way. You know, I mean, he could, in theory, he could grab up DeSantis if he was willing. I don't know if that'd be the best dynamic per se, although it would definitely bring party unity. I'm sure that there are advisors that are telling him that's a good idea, and Haley would be a disaster. At that point, I would question Trump's whether he's gone cuckoo or something like that. There are definitely opportunities. Larry Elder's one. I like Rand Paul, but he's clearly not going to get chosen. Somebody from outside of the field, though, in my opinion, is more likely. Wow, Super Chat in middle lets me also respond to others. Yeah, exactly. Matthew Moore, anomaly blocked sticks, face green, smiling. Yeah, he did, actually. So if he's saying weird shit again, as usual, I have no clue what he's saying. I'm not going to log out of Twitter just to stalk his account. I mean, he might do stuff like that, but no thank you. So anyway, I'm going to go and check my pumpkin to see if it's completely burned, like char-broiled at this point or something, which would be bad. But I've also got the ingredients for a French onion soup, so I could still piece dinner together in a timely fashion. But I definitely want to check on my fucking pumpkin because it's Halloween, you know. By the way, watch the Great Dolomite Charlie Brown on YouTube or elsewhere. It's, I'm assuming, been uploaded elsewhere by Mostly Offensive, or Most Offensive, I think it was. Watch that good old favorite. I will definitely be watching that later because it's a holiday special. It's effectively Halloween Charlie Brown, but they've completely chopped and screwed it with complete dub and made it as offensive as possible, specifically with a little bit of a racial bent. I think that people would enjoy it. And just keep in mind, there was a kinder, more noble time when on the internet you could upload shit like that even to YouTube and not get banned. Nobody had a problem with it because they understood that it was humorous. It was meant to be funny. So go and watch some fucking racism. It's for the best. That's about all. Peace out.